Good afternoon. I'm Doug Shipman, Atlanta City Council President, calling to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Atlanta City Council. Today is Monday, January 6, 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. Before we call the opening roll, I would like to note that it is a new calendar year, thus the pro tem position will pass from Councilmember Faroki to Councilmember Hillis. So I want to say in advance, thank you, Councilmember Hillis, for filling that role. And with that, we will call the opening roll. Madam Clerk.
Good morning, Mr. President and members of council. Happy New Year, everyone. We have Council President Doug Shipman.
Present.
Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, Post 1 at Large. Here. Councilmember Matt Westmoreland, Post 2 at Large.
Here.
Councilmember Ishay Collins, Post 3 at Large. Councilmember Jason H. Winston, District 1.
Here.
Councilmember Amir Faroki, District 2.
Here.
Councilmember Byron D. Amos, District 3. Councilmember Jason Dozer, District 4. Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, District 5. Councilmember Alex Wan, District 6. Councilmember Howard Shook, District 7. Councilmember Mary Norwood is remote.
Here.
Councilmember Dustin Hillis, District 9. Councilmember Andrea L. Boone, District 10. Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet, District 11. Councilmember Antonia Lewis, District 12. Mr. President, we do have a quorum of members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let me extend my welcome one final time to our newest member, Post 3 at Large, Councilmember Ishay Collins. Welcome to the body. We will now move to the adoption of the agenda. The agenda was sent out ahead of time. If there are no changes or updates, I would entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Lewis. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt the agenda? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion to adopt? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
12 yeas, 0 nays.
12 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt the agenda carries. Next, I'd like to invite Reverend Kim Wood, who is a minister at the Southeast Conference of the United Church of Christ, to come forward and provide our invocation. Welcome.
We'll try that again. Please join me in the spirit and posture of prayer as you are most comfortable. Let us pray. Holy and loving Creator, you have gathered us today from the wide reaches of this beautiful city to work and serve as one body on behalf of all people who call Atlanta home. We begin by acknowledging that this city is built on the ancestral lands of the Muskogee Creek and Cherokee peoples who were removed unjustly. May we hold the solemnity of those actions in our hearts and honor the sacrifices heaped upon those who first and rightfully called this land home by placing justice and equity as the formula for all decisions made. We thank you for the rich diversity of peoples who inhabit this historic city. Some have been here for generations, while others have more recently planted their feet on this soil. Some are the descendants of people who arrived determined to make their own way in a new world, and others carry the strength of forebears determined to survive in a foreign land as enslaved people. Some seek opportunity, others a safe haven, and still others hope. May we recognize each and every person, regardless of the color of their skin, their heritage, their culture, their gender identity, their sexuality, their age, their ability, their economic status, and their faith traditions, as a blessed and gifted creation of your making to be respected and cherished. We thank you, Holy One, for these dedicated people who, together, comprise the Atlanta City Council. We thank you for their willingness to give of themselves and their talents, and for the generosity of their families and communities in sharing them for this benevolent calling. We ask that you bestow upon them your wisdom, that you provide for them clarity in all decision-making, and that you instill within each of them the courage to do what is right and good, just and compassionate, for the betterment of this city and for the wholeness of every person within it. gift each of them with grace that opens the way to civil discourse and productive dialogue. Open their eyes and their hearts that they might see the realities and the needs of the people they serve, and that they might always envision a way forward that empowers the people of this community to thrive to the fullest of its potential. Invite creativity and exploration, steadfastness, and a collaborative spirit. Holy Creator, there is an abundance of wonder and joy in this city, for which we give you thanks. But we must also concede the struggles and the challenges that are present here and elsewhere. Loss of life, violence, discrimination, lack of shelter, hunger, illness, and poverty still lay claim to our families and communities. Keep us mindful of brokenness and suffering that impact too many people, and keep our focus on solutions that improve qualities of life and recognize each person's dignity and value. Let us be equally present when tragedy strikes as when there is cause for celebration, being good stewards of the resources we have so that each person's needs are met. We are thankful, Creator, for these leaders before whom you have set the task of directing and caring for this city. Each of them give much. We're also aware that as we gather here, another great leader lies in state nearby. We give thanks for the life of President Jimmy Carter, and we celebrate his legacy of peace and kindness. Keep watch and bring comfort to his family. As we begin a new year, O Most Holy, we thank you for the many gifts and successes of 2024, and we ask for your guidance and your inspiration in 2025. Be with this Atlanta City Council and all the city leaders in their work. May all that they do continue to build and advance this city, that it may be a beacon to others and benefit its people. In your many and holy names we pray. Amen.
As we remain in a spirit of reflection, I would like to ask my colleagues if there are any remembrances that they would have. Councilmember Boone.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to thank the City of Atlanta, the Honorable Mayor Andre Dickens, President Shipman, and all members of council who supported the family of the late Senator Vincent Fort. He had a wonderful celebration. Reverend Anthony Motley's church was just a wonderful venue for that celebration. To all who supported and loved Senator Vincent Fort, who we lost over the holidays, thank you for your support. To Zoe, Zan, Faith, and the entire family, the Mayor's Office of Constituent Services, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the Honorable Derek Bozeman, who led the effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lewis.
I would like to send prayers to two families. The first family, the family of Miss April Howell and her entire family. She was a longtime constituent of our District 12, lived on Springside Drive for the past 30 years. I actually grew up and went to school with Chris Jones and Tyrell Jenkins, and truly praying for the family of Miss April Howell, who tuck in the entire family, took in her sisters and raised them, her sisters' kids, and raised them like their own. I also want to send every prayer in the world that we can to the family of Zakiya Smith, young lady murdered in Pittsburgh, in the Pittsburgh community on Christmas Eve. A young lady was a star basketball player, not just basketball player, star basketball player at Carver High School. Young lady had a full ride, Zakiya Smith had a full ride to Albany State University, where she was due to play college basketball this year, HBCU. She leaves behind her teammates, her family, her friends, the entire community's mourning. I think we're in the same stages that we are a few years ago, in which we're losing young ladies. And young lady had nothing to do with this. This was the mother talking to the parents when you're hearing them say how the young lady is murdered on the steps on Christmas Eve, standing next to her friends. So as much prayer as we can for the family, but prayers for the community, because mental health and gun violence is on another level in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to extend my sympathies also to the family of Senator Vincent Fort. You know, people forget that he began his public employment actually here on the halls of the City Council back in 1994 as the Chief of Staff to Gloria Tadubu in District 12. I first became acquainted with Senator Ford when I was a freshman at Morehouse College. He was my professor, and he has had a rich and dedicated life on behalf of those who are considered by society as the least of these. And so wanted to add my voice to that, but also wanted to make the council aware that one of our greatest critics, one of the community's greatest advocates has passed away, Mr. Ben Howard, who I believe he passed away on last Friday, as I got the word. And of course, he was an extremely intelligent man, an aviation engineer who retired here to Atlanta, and upon moving here, became intrinsically involved in our NPU system and in the community, and so and in APAB. And so he believed in what the city of Atlanta said it was and held us accountable to prove it every day. So just wanted to mention him. And one other person, I personally lost a great and dear friend of mine from childhood, Mr. Richard Trammell, who a lot of people know him as a mixed martial artist champion. He operated a dojo here. He's a great instructor with literally thousands of students. He was a graduate of Morehouse, Frederick Douglass High School, and he succumbed to pancreatic cancer this month and was funeralized. So we want to extend condolences to his family, the Trammell family in Adamsville. He was an extremely genuine and kind and gentle person that belied his martial arts skills, in which he was lethal. He was extremely lethal. And when we played on the Douglass High School soccer team, he was such a phenomenal athlete that he was the Pele of Atlanta Public Schools. All 5 years, because when we were in high school, Douglass had an 8th grade, that he was on the soccer team. He scored better than 95% of all of our goals. I mean, it was just unreal. His talent was unreal. So, and akin to that, as I mentioned, he was a international mixed martial arts champion, and just an outstanding person. So we want to extend our condolences to the Trammell family. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Thank you. Echoing everybody else's comments around Senator Vincent Fort, who I first met when I was a baby activist in Atlanta, and we were at a political action together where he was arrested, which I watched him do many times and sometimes joined him. But he was a wonderful human being. And as we sit here citing his accolades, I hope that we continue to carry on his spirit and what he stood for in our actions. Also, of course, President Carter. But I also wanted to speak to my own family, a family member that we lost last week. People could keep my family in their prayers, as well as our family members that are continuing to still battle cancer. And last but certainly not least, Leroy Ramos. He was our MARTA driver that was shot dead last week in Decatur over a $2.50 fare. The likes of which I don't believe has ever happened with MARTA before. But if we can keep him and his family in our prayers, as well as the as well as a citizen that was hit by a stray bullet as a result. Praying for him and that they catch his assailant soon. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Amos.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you. I'd like to echo the sentiments of my colleague. I was definitely going to recognize bus driver Ramos as well. So I'm glad you did that. I also like to extend my condolences to former Fulton County Sheriff Ernest Patterson. I worked with Sheriff Patterson in my security days. We was doing Greyhound. But more importantly, but nonetheless, had a member of the community to pass within the last couple of weeks. Miss Emily Milner, 106 years old. A very active member in the Hunter Hill community. And we used to celebrate her birthday. I would go by her house, and the only thing she ever asked of the council office is to get her a yearly pass to the aquarium. So beautiful soul that has spent a lot of time and passed on a lot of wisdom in my short time knowing her, but definitely want to send our condolences to not only her family, but to her community family as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Lewis.
I want to make sure we send our condolences to the family of Belinda Felton. This young man, DeMar Goodman, who was here today, graduate of South Atlanta High School, interned in my office last summer. He lost his mom over the Christmas break. He was here this morning, DeMar Goodman. So as many prayers as we can to the family of DeMar Goodman and Miss Belinda Felton.
Thank you. I'd also like to add my condolences to the Carter family. That is a national mourning, but it's a local mourning. Family members are our constituents and our residents. And I also just want to add a thanks to all of the MARTA bus drivers, APD officers, Department of Public Works folks, and everyone who is going above and beyond to allow the city to mourn, for people to be able to pay their respects. It is a heavy lift, but it is one that is worthwhile as we mourn the passing of President Carter. With these and others who are unnamed, would you please join me in a moment of silence? Councilmember Bond.
I want to also acknowledge those who passed in New Orleans, who were victims of the senseless terror attack, much like the one we experienced here in Atlanta in '96 at the hands of another senseless criminal. So I'd like to add those individuals.
Thank you. With these and those unnamed, would you please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do not have any proclamations or commendations today, so we will move to statements from the public. I would remind everyone that we will have 2-minute comments from everybody unless there has been yielded time on the list. And please be mindful of your other speakers. First up today will be Tracy Thornhill. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Happy New Year, Council. Congratulations, Ishay. It's been a long time. I think I can remember the first time we knocked on doors off Deckner and Belmont, and I didn't know who you were. So they told me, you on out with her. And you know, we've been friends ever since. But that ain't why I'm here today. I guess I won't see you tonight at the APS board meeting. But I'm here today because having an issue with my grades. You know, we went into this thing where we did reclassification, paying class study. And it seems that I'm losing some union members, possibly, grades 17 and 18. And through ASME's contract, we represent 18 and below. But my people are telling me now that they are going to be salaried. They're telling me that they're not going to be protected anymore. So when they started this pay and class study, they said I would not lose any people. And I'm asking you, City Council, to stop it. Make sure that the same amount of people that ASME had when this pay and class study came, we're going to have that same amount of people when it's completely over with. And believe me, we do appreciate the pay and class study, but I don't want to lose not one member behind it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Raynard Burrell. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, members of the council, and Happy New Year. I'm Raynard Burrell with the Federation of Public Service Employees. This afternoon, my comments will be brief. I come to invite each of you to join me and a host of political and community and labor leaders as FPSC celebrates our APS School Principal of the Year. We are thankful that Councilman Matt Westmoreland will join us in hosting this event. With his positive history as an APS member, APS student, teacher, and board member, we are excited to partner with him. Our 5 principal finalists will be named tomorrow at the APS board meeting. The Principal of the Year will be announced at our ceremony to be held here in the atrium at City Hall on Saturday, February 8th at 2 p.m. We hope each of you can join us. Members of the community who wish to attend may contact FPSC directly at 404-480-8529. Our FPSC membership and leadership are committed to working with our school district and city leaders to make Atlanta an even better place to live, learn, and call home. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Ken Roebling. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, council members. On January 1st, 2025, we entered the twilight zone. The twilight zone is where nothing is as it seems. ESPN broadcast the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl game. They said it was coming from downtown Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, except it was not. I thought they would correct their mistake in the second half, but they did not. They even mentioned it during the Sugar Bowl. The game was played someplace else. The local news said security around Mercedes-Benz Stadium was tight. I don't know why there was nobody there. Neither ESPN nor the local media is being honest with us. In 2 weeks, we will have a president who may also not be honest with us. 2025 promises to be a very bizarre year. Hold on to your hat.
Thank you. Next will be Minister Breedlove. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Greetings. Happy New Year's to you all. And congratulations, young lady. I love your spirit. I have a word for you all today, and I'm praying for all of us, and especially the United States of America, because we need prayer, people. We are servants of God, and we are servants of this country. And it's time for us to stand up and take our role. God gave me a word for all of us in Jeremiah 1:5. He said, before I was formed in my mother's womb, I knew you. Before, people, you was formed in your mother's womb. God said he knew you, and he gave you assignment. We all have assignment to do. Now, last night, as an old soldier, 43-year missionary, I was in the rain feeding the homeless. At Gateway, they wouldn't let anybody in. There was a young lady, 21-year-old, crying, screaming out. I filmed it across the world. Sick. I kept calling 911 for help for her. Nobody came to her. So there is a very serious problem with that here, people of God. And Michael, I ask you all to look into this. If the city is giving monies for the Gateway, we need to address those issues. And I pray I'll be back again tonight feeding the homeless again. But I have assignment to do for God, a mission. And I got to travel, going to Africa. I ask you all to step up, people. Do something important. And young lady, God called you at the perfect time now. God bless you all. Love you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bond?
Thank you for that, Missionary Breed Love. And I would just say that we'll request that the Gateway leadership come to the CDHR meeting at our next meeting to talk about this issue.
Thank you. Next up will be Valerie Anderson. Due to yield to time, you'll have up to 4 minutes.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Valerie Lanz Anderson, and as many of you is aware, my son, Devon Anderson, was murdered by Melvin Potter, Atlanta APD officer, August 5th. Yesterday made 5 months. My son has passed that Melvin Potter murdered my son. And just as how the months is going up, the years would be approaching. 5/11/2025, this year, he would make 39 years old, which would fall on Mother's Day. 5/11/86, on Mother's Day, is when I gave birth to my son. So how funny is it that 5/11/2025, it would be Mother's Day on his birthday. So how hurtful do you think that is to me? To know that the police officer that did this to my son, that murdered my son, that took my son from me and his family, feels that nothing has been done in 5 months since Melvin Potter murdered my son. 5 months. I have not heard anything as how the case is progressing, if it's anywhere being solved, closed, anything. Ms. Boone, when I was here, when we was over in the safety meeting, and I mentioned the judges that the warrant wasn't upheld, you was giving me some information, but I would appreciate if you would give me that information again, because for some reason it didn't work out. So I would appreciate it very much if you could, give me that information again. Thank you. Yes, so back to what I was saying. Where is the accountability for Melvin Potter murdering my son? I'm still waiting for the answer. I'm waiting for the answer. I need answers as to why he is not being fired, he's not being held accountable, anything. I've asked the council, some members of the council, to help me with getting information about the situation, about the murder of my son. So did anything new transpire that you all could bring me abreast of anything? Guess not. And like I always say in passing, Devon Anderson, this young man right here, has a family, a community that loved him, siblings that loved him. And I love my son very much. And as I stated before, again and again and again, I'm not going anywhere, no matter how long it takes for me to get justice for my son and hold Melvin Potter accountable. Not going anywhere. Rain, snow, sleet, below zero, minus zero, whatever. Because I'm this young man's mother. And this, like I said before, this young man has parents. This young man did not deserve to be taken away from his family by some drunk, lawless police officer. Because Melvin Potter is lawless.
Time is
His
expired.
record shows too much wrongdoing that he has done, and you all need to hold him accountable. Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Boone, when would you? Thank you very much.
Next will be John Stopp. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Hey, welcome back, Liliana. How you doing? I just wanted to thank you for the Christmas card I got in the mail. Here you go. Thank you. You know, I've been up here because I was a little upset about what happened with you in the cemetery and the guard getting fired and all that. And, you know, there was an Instagram post on December 5th about when to call 311 versus 911. And it seemed like your whole line of defense for your actions that night stemmed on how in danger you felt, but nobody ever called 911. And I just felt like that was a little tone deaf. But that was, you know, just a guy losing his job. And I know every time I've been up here, I spoke with Ms. Anderson outside before. You know, that's a guy losing his job. In the other case, it's somebody losing his life. And I went back and watched most of her comments from before she showed up. And I, for the life of me, can't understand how they can't close an investigation out in the last calendar year. Like she said, it's like 5 months. And, you know, in this case, I mean, it was fun seeing him and Mr. Tow Cars standing outside when I rolled up, because I get what it is, and it's a bummer to see sort of the inaction, and I just don't understand in some cases how you guys can't do what's right. And in the case of Devin Anderson, you know, the police officer may have been off duty, but that gun wasn't, and a life was taken. And hey, I'm just a frustrated musician like you, so you know what I'm saying? Remember that? Y'all have a good day and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Next up will be Ray Washington. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
My prayers go out to, of course, Mr. Ben Howard, his family, and certainly Senator Ford. Today, I want to make sure and to ensure that 24 LO 932 is properly approved, and that the committee will approve this 24 LO 932 and not die in transit to the city council. Sadly, I stand before you as a victim of racial profiling by David Holloman, an employee of the City of Atlanta Police Department. I call for justice today. I want him properly arrested and charged and convicted in this county. And you hear me, Fannie Willis and Raymond Baez. Racial profiling that he committed by he pulled his service revolver and pointed it at my chest. Sadly, I could have been a hashtag like mother's son because of this. I called for justice because after the Atlanta Citizen Review Board sustained my complaint for false imprisonment and excessive force that was written by Ms. Williams of the Atlanta Citizen Review Board that led to the highest office in the city of Atlanta, the chief of police committed malfeasance by lying on a document to the Atlanta Citizen Review Board saying that Kyle Turner committed the act, who I don't know who Kyle Turner is, and rather than David Holloman. I stand before you asking that David Holloman be arrested and jailed and not working for the city of Atlanta or the mayor's office. I want him jailed and arrested immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Elizabeth Moore. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Salutations. This poem I wrote, Bible, Shakespeare. Okay. The countercheck quarrelsome. In this winter of our discontent, with clouds lowered upon our house, woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, for an error proceedeth from thy ruler, who in all tongues is called a fool. To remove sorrow from our hearts and put away evil from our flesh, let us shine away the lie circumstantial and the lie direct. And let all unfairness be replaced with justice and with love. Let there be atonement, or rather at-one-ment, for earth awaits a miracle and man too. For justice has been denied every living thing by the rudely stamped, he who is curtailed of fair proportion, and cannot prove a lover, so is determined to prove a villain. His wickedness and folly shall not deliver him who is given to them, as this servant curses him who likewise hast cursed others. And so I saw the wicked buried, for he that diggeth a pit shall fall into it. But before the fall from sky to earth, let there be birth cracked across this porcelain world, a light deprived and crystal eye, and so laid bare by crystal stare. For one sinner destroyeth much good, with lie upon lie and plots treacherous. When fear is near and fate can't wait, in red and gold the lessons told, and order is restored through a temporary detour into disorder. And in ecstasy, the end foresee, the golden bowl breaks and is broken, flower, feathers, stone, and with delightful measure, our brows are bound with wreaths victorious. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be J. Wesley Day. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Happy New Year, good afternoon. For those that don't know me, I'm Jay Wesley. It's going on 7 years without any justice. I was beaten into a coma. I have my assailants on camera calling me fags, sissies, homos. Taunting me, hitting me. I was in a coma. Thanksgiving 2018, my mom didn't even know where I was. However, it's 2025. This happened November 20th, 2018, and no one's been prosecuted. How do you all feel about that? Is this the way justice looks like in Atlanta? I wonder how long it's going to take Liliana to get prosecuted, if she'll get prosecuted. I must say I'm very disappointed in you. I mean, it's a similar situation of mine. I get jumped. I lose my job at Delta Airlines, my dream employer. However, the difference, Liliana, is I got charged with a felony. How does that make sense? No one can tell me. On the second note, I went to the Cheesecake Factory. I'm waiting for a carryout order for over $100. The police come and tap me and say, you gotta go. As any reasonable person would, I asked why. They said because we said so. Not trying to be a smart aleck, I said that's not good enough for me. Click, click, here I was going to Rice Street for trespassing. How could I be trespassing when I'm simply waiting on a $100 order, and to this day, no one can tell me why I was asked to leave the Cheesecake Factory. The Cheesecake Factory say they didn't call the police. In fact, I was tased, I fainted, they put me in a hot police car, and I get my job back at Delta Airlines, but Keith Gamage, Fulton County Solicitor General, went and added obstruction to justice over a year later, causing me to lose my job a second time at Delta Airlines.
Time's
This
expired.
is what justice looked like in the city of Atlanta, the city that's supposed to be too busy to hate. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, today will be Chioke Perry. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon. I'm Chioke Perry, and I vote in Precinct 1J. Always have and always will. And very simply, I'm here to ask, as a former founding member of the Atlanta Transit Riders Union, that someone help me to begin to change the narrative about the unfortunate murder of a MARTA bus operator. And why do I ask this? Thank you, lady. Why do I ask this? It's because I know without doubt the bullying of the Martox Committee and state government that's forced MARTA to be really rough at the fare box, so to speak, in an economically disadvantaged metro Atlanta area. But I hope we don't forget either that, though unfortunate, it's something we have seen before, just recently on the express system, where a bus left Midtown. Person was killed, bus hijacked, and taken on a ride up and down the highway. And yet, I didn't hear anybody reciting how it was simply over $2.50 fare. I think it's disingenuous and unfair to follow that media narrative about somebody's life and even the potential perp that's out on the run. State policy, again, allows any of us to carry any weapon any time of the day or night, anywhere. So I'll definitely point fingers there. So as you prepare your legislative package to send over to the Capitol, think about impoverished Atlanta and how we are still waiting on the students' 1960s dream to come true and give us our
Time's
human
expired.
rights we demanded.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody from the public who came down to provide remarks. We will now move to the report of the Journal, Madam Clerk.
Good afternoon, Council President. I, Corinne Lindo, Municipal Clerk of the City of Atlanta, do hereby certify that the minutes of the regular meeting held on Monday, December 2nd, 2024 are true and correct.
If there are no changes or amendments to the minutes, I would entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilmember Juan, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the minutes? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt the journal carries. We'll now move to communications. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, if I may take items 1 through 4 as a block.
Without objection, please proceed.
Item number 1 is 25C0001. This is a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Councilmember Amir Faroqi to serve as a member of the Artificial Intelligence Commission. Item number 2 is 25C0002. This is a communication by Catherine Evans on behalf of the City of Atlanta's Tree Conservation Commission announcing the temporary appointment of Mr. Rory McGuire to serve on the Tree Conservation Commission in the arborist category pursuant to Section 15-62 of the Atlanta City Code. Item number 3 is 25C003. This is a communication from Dr. Gordon Jones, Senior Military Historian and Curator, Atlanta History Center, accepting the appointment to serve as a member of the Commission to determine an appropriate manner in which to honor the 150th anniversary of the 1st Regiment of U.S. Colored Troops formed in Atlanta by Bishop Henry McNeil Turner. Item number 4 is 25C0004. This is a communication from Municipal Clerk, Election Superintendent Corinne Lindo, submitting the certification of official returns and complete statement of votes from the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections and the DeKalb County Board of Registration and Elections for the City of Atlanta Post 3 at Large Special Election Runoff held on December 3rd, 2024. Staff recommendation to accept and file all items.
Let all 4 items follow that course.
That concludes the communication items, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there any items of vetoed legislation for consideration?
There were none.
Is there any unfinished business?
No, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we'll move to the consent agenda, Section 1. These are items that begin on page 4 of the materials. They are all items for second reading. Therefore, the appropriate motion will be to adopt. But first, let me ask, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda, Section 1 today? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilmember Bakhtiari, seconded by Councilmember Wan. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt the consent agenda, Section 1? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt the consent agenda, Section 1 carries. We will now move to the consent agenda, Section 2. These are items that begin on page 19 in your materials. They are items for first reading. Therefore, the appropriate motion will be to refer. But first, let me ask, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda, Section 2? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to refer. Moved by Councilmember Bakhtiari, seconded by Councilmember Hillis. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer the consent agenda, Section 2? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Lewis is aye.
The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries. We'll now move to the report of standing committees. First up today will be the Finance Exec Committee. Chair Shook.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Department is checking on a proposed substitute, and I don't think they're quite ready yet. So if you could skip over us for now and come back to us, that'd be appreciated.
Without objection, we can rearrange the agenda to skip over and come back to FEC. No objection noted, so we will move on to the next report of standing committee, Committee on Council. Outgoing Chair Bakhtiari will give the report.
Thank you, Council President. If there are no objections, can we take items 1 through 4 as a block?
Please proceed.
Item number 1, 24-C-5139, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Mr. Larry Riley to serve as a member of the City of Atlanta Reparations Study Commission. Item number 2, 24-C-5140, a communication from Council President Doug Shipman appointing Ms. Cheryl Venable to serve as a member of the Midtown Community Improvement District CID Board of Directors. This appointment is for a term of 4 years. Item number 3, 24-C-5149, a communication from Dr. Michael Hodge, Executive Director, Atlanta University Center Consortium, submitting the appointment of Mr. Marcus Washington to serve as a member, bless you, of the Atlanta Citizen Review Board. This appointment is for a term of 3 years. And item number 4, 24-C-5150, a communication from Segura Jones, President, Atlanta Planning Advisory Board, submitting the appointment of Mr. Cheyenne Moran Jr. to serve on the Atlanta Citizens Review Board in the Neighborhood Planning Unit Group G through L category. This appointment is for a term of 3 years. I motion to approve.
There's a motion coming out of committee to approve these 4 communications. It does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve these items? Given that they're communications, we can do this via unanimous consent. Is there any objection to the motion to approve these items? Madam Clerk, please sound the count of unanimous consent.
The 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to approve these 4 items carries.
Thank you. Item number 5, 24-R-3001, a resolution by Committee on Council to fix and publish the qualifying fees for the City of Atlanta Municipal General Election to be held on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, to elect the mayor, city council president, city council members, certain Board of Education members, and to retain municipal court judges, to set the location, dates, and times for candidate qualifying and for other purposes. Item was favorable out of COC, and I motion to adopt.
There's a motion to approve 25-R-3001 coming out of committee. It does need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to approve this item.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to approve carries.
Council President, that does conclude the legislative agenda, but with permission, I would like to make an announcement.
Yes, go ahead.
As a reminder to my colleagues, we will be continuing to identify which base vacancies there are. Obviously, it is really crucial that we follow up and make sure those vacancies are full. We have people from the public that want to participate in local government. We want to make sure that we're giving them the opportunity to do so and not signing up for committees that have never met or have never met quorum. So Mr. Overton will be following up with individuals making rounds, and you will continue to be reminded. Thank you all. Council President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next up today will be the Zoning Committee, Chair Westmoreland.
Good afternoon, colleagues. We have 3 ordinances for second reading. Without objection, I can take them as a block.
Please proceed.
Legislative item 24-0-1302. It's the Druid Hills Landmark District. This ordinance is to create a new sub-area entitled University Park. 24-0-1662. 2685 Metropolitan Parkway Southwest. This ordinance is to waive the zoning conditions prohibiting an automobile service station. 24-0-1679. It's corrective legislation to amend ordinance 24-0-1251. The recommendation coming out of the committee is to refer to ZRB and zoning.
Motion coming out of committee to refer to ZRB and zoning these 3 items. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer these 3 items.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Councilmember Collins' vote is not reflected.
Councilmember Collins, how do you vote? Councilmember aye? It's a Councilmember Collins' aye.
Sure.
Fourteen yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
Next up, we have 11 items for first read without objection. These can also be taken as a block.
Please proceed.
24-0-1704, Z-2479, 1151 White Oak Avenue Southwest is to rezone from R4A HC20M to R5 HC20M. 24-0-1705, Z-2484, 2428 Baker Road Northwest is to rezone from R4 to R4A. 24-0-1706, Z-2486 is 2220. 2230, 2234, 2238, 2242, and 2246. Bernard Road Southwest is to rezone from Northwest is to rezone from I-2 to R4A. 24-0-1707, Z-2487, 1575, 1590, 1581, 1591, 1593. Huber Street Northwest is to rezone from I-2 to MRC3. 24-0-1708, 24 Z-2488, 1409 Northwest Drive is to rezone from R4A to MRMU. 24-0-1709, Z-2490, 3260
Catamaran Drive Southeast, and 913 and 895 Hutchins Road Southeast is to rezone for a major site plan amendment. 24-1710 Z2491 1415 Northwest Drive is to rezone from R4A to MRMU. Set 24-1711 U2436 3799 Brownsville Road Southeast is to special use permit for processing operations facility. 24-1712 U2437 684 Mountain Drive Northeast is a special use permit for a park. 24-1713 U2438 3241 Daniel Road Southwest is ordinances for a special use permit for a personal care home. And finally, 24-1714 U2439 2800 Springdale Road Southwest is ordinance for a special use permit for a nursing home. I make a motion to refer these items to the zoning committee.
There's a motion by Councilmember Westmoreland to refer these 11 items to the zoning committee. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Juan. Is there any discussion on the motion to refer these 11 items? Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next up today will be the Public Safety Legal Administration Committee. Chair Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do not have a report today.
Thank you. Next up will be the City Utilities Committee. Chair Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do not have a report today.
Thank you. Next up will be the CDHS Committee. Chair Winston.
Thank you, Council President. We have 4 items that I'd like to file. If there's no objection, I'd like to do this as a block.
Without objection, please proceed.
First item, item 24-0, that's 1260, CDP-24-014, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan, CDP, so as to redesignate property located at 3074 Margaret Mitchell Drive Northwest from single-family residential land use designation to office, institution land use designation, and for other purposes. Second item is 24-01256, that's CDP-24-008, a substitute ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1051 with the parcel numbers listed on Moreland Drive Southeast and 1721 Woodland Avenue Southeast, parcel number listed, from single-family residential land use designation to the low-density residential land use designation and for other purposes. Third item is 24-01258, the CDP-24-012, an ordinance by Community Development Human Services Committee to amend the land use element of the 2021 Atlanta Comprehensive Development Plan so as to redesignate property located at 1109 and 1113 Moreland Drive Southeast from single-family residential land use designation to medium-density residential land use designation and for other purposes. 24-0-1591, an ordinance by Council Members Jason Winston and Amir Faroki as amended by the Community Development Human Services Committee authorizing a transfer in an amount not to exceed $125,000.00 from the District 2 discretionary fund account to the Department of Parks and Recs for the purposes of installing pickleball courts in Central Park and for other purposes. I move to file.
There's a motion coming out of committee to file these 4 items. They don't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file these 4 items? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file carries.
Thank you. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Next up will be the Transportation Committee. Chair Amos. Vice Chair Faruqi.
There is no report today.
Thank you. Finally, we'll go back to the beginning with the FEC. Chair Shook.
Thank you. We're on page 22. First up is 24-0-1696. It's an ordinance by Shook authorizing the transfer of funds from various Atlanta City Council carry-forward accounts to the appropriate account to replenish funds for the fiscal year 25 true-up allocations and for other purposes. And I will make a motion to bring forward a substitute.
There's a motion by Councilmember Shook to bring forward substitute on 24-0-1696, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion? Do you need to read the caption change on the substitute?
No, it's the same.
Is there any discussion on the motion to bring forward substitute? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objections to the motion to bring forward substitute? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to bring forward substitute carries.
All right, the substitute provides the correct account and amount numbers. I will move approval on substitute.
There's a motion by Councilmember Shook, seconded by Councilmember Wan to approve 24-0-1696 as substituted. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt as substituted? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt as substituted.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Yay.
Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt as substitute carries.
Thank you. 24R-4524 is a resolution by Shook as amended by Finance Exec urging the 25-26 regular session of the Georgia General Assembly to support the City of Atlanta's 2025 legislative package. And for other purposes, the committee sent this forward favorably on the condition that we receive a substitute with any new legislative items that may have been added since committee. The administration informs us that they have none, so we're going with the original package, and I will move approval.
There's a motion by Councilmember Shook, seconded by Councilmember Wan to adopt 24-R-4524. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Will everyone please vote? Will everyone please vote?
Please reflect Councilmember Hillis as an aye.
The vote's closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt carries.
Thank you. And finally, 3 resolutions that are all up for filing. If there's no objection, I will take them as a block.
Please proceed.
24R-4525 is a resolution by Shook authorizing the Commissioner of Watershed Management to adjust water and sewer charges on certain customer accounts in accordance with the city code section indicated here in the amount of blank dollars and blank cents and for other purposes. 24R-4526 is a resolution by Shook authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to refund customers for overpayments to water and sewer accounts in the amount of blank. All funds should be charged to and paid from, etc. And 24R-4607, resolution by Shook authorizing the mayor as designee to execute the first renewal option to the RFP indicated. Diversity tracking software services with Ask Reply Inc. doing business as B2G Now Inc. on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Contract Compliance in an amount not to exceed $89,950 effective from December 25th of last year through December 24th of this year. All contracted work being charged to and paid from, et cetera. The motion is to file those items.
There's a motion come out of committee to file these 3 items. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file these items? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file.
The vote is open. Councilmember Norwood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to file these items carries.
That concludes our report.
Thank you. We're moving quite expeditiously. I'll chalk that up to our new member, Councilmember Collins. So we will hold just for a few moments while we get the full list of papers for consideration and referral today. Madam Clerk, I believe you wanted to make an announcement. Will we have a moment?
Yes, Council President, thank you. I just remind all council members that their December 31st, 2024 campaign disclosure report, CCDR, is due. It was due December 31st. So you have until January 8th as a grace period before you will get a late filing penalty, which, we don't want to have. So please submit your report at your earliest convenience. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, I believe that papers for referral have been distributed. I do not see any for immediate consideration, so we will begin with Councilmember Amos. We'll just wait one moment. We're still distributing folders, I see.
Division 4 of the City of Atlanta Code to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute change order number 4 to agreement SP-S-120155 Mythics Oracle Cloud Support with Mythics Incorporated on behalf of the Department of Finance to add services related to land management, permitting, licensing, to amend the number of licenses and to add funding in the amount not to exceed, I guess, blank, all contracted work to be charged to and paid from the Fund Department organization and account numbers listed and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37065 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Elms ID number 37068, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea Boone, an ordinance waiving the requirements of Section 2-910 of the Atlanta City Code to retroactively authorize and to ratify the mayor or the chief sustainability officer as his designees on behalf of the City of Atlanta, submission of an application for the 2025 Global Mayor's Challenge, funding from Bloomberg Philanthropies in the amount of $1 million and 0 cents to build a community curbside composting program to reduce food waste, build green jobs, and provide composting education and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37068 will be referred to the City Utilities Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Collins.
Thank you. So reading in ordinance, Okay. Elms number 37055, waiving the requirements of Section 2-910 of the Atlanta City Code to retroactively authorize and to ratify the mayor or the chief sustainability officer as his designees on behalf of the City of Atlanta. Submission of an application for nutrition access, affordability, and education grant funding from the African American Mayors Association and the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy America, and in the amount of $175,000 to improve access to nutritious food, improve the affordability of nutritious food, and provide nutrition education and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37055 will be referred to the City Utilities Committee.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember Amos.
Not talking to me. Yes, sir, Mr. President. AMS ID 37067, a resolution by Councilmember Byron D. Amos, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to issue task order number 10 for the contract listed citywide architectural planning, design, engineering, and construction phase services with Fitzgerald Collaborative Group, LLC, for the design of the communication and audiovisual system at the City of Atlanta Emergency 911 Operations Center on behalf of the Department of Enterprise Asset Management in an amount not to exceed $3,657,100. All work to be charged to and paid from accounts listed and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37067 will be referred to the FEC Committee.
AMS ID 37096, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos, ordinance to waive Chapter 2, Article 10 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, the Procurement and Real Estate Code, to authorize the mayor or his designee on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Violent Reduction to amend EA-6-1220191-B, Emergency Violence Prevention and Reduction Program Administration Services with Offender Alumni Association to extend the term of effective May 7th, 2025 and ending in June 30, 2025 for the purpose of the prevention and intervention of gun violence in the city during the summer break. All contracted services to be charged to and paid from the account listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37096 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Hillis.
I have two items. First number is ELMS 37092, a resolution by council members Dustin Hillis, Ishay Collins, Matt Westmoreland, and Michael Julian Bond, authorizing the mayor, his designee, on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation to execute a project management agreement with the Path Foundation, a Georgia nonprofit corporation, for the Proctor Creek Greenway Segment 4 project, and to execute any required agreements for project participation and implementation in an amount not to exceed $4,750,000.00. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37092 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
ELMS number 36620, a resolution by Councilmember Dustin Hillis authorizing the mayor, his designee, to execute a project management agreement with Westside Howell Mill Community Improvement District, doing business as Upper West Side Improvement District, for the Chattahoochee Avenue project on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation in an amount not to exceed $3,920,599.00. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 36620 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Completes my items. Thank you.
Just a correction, the first Elms ID is actually 37152, and it is referred to Transportation. Councilmember Overstreet.
All right. ELMS ID 37154, a resolution by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet authorizing the reemployment of retiree Camille Love as a senior policy advisor in the Office of Cultural Affairs. The executive office is pursuant to Section 3505A of the Charter of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, for a period not to exceed 520 business days. Compensation will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and the account number listed in an annual amount not to exceed $62,720.00 and for other purposes.
Items ID 37154 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Okay, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet authorizing a donation in the amount not to exceed blank from the District 11 carry forward account to Morehouse School of Medicine to support STEM students from Atlanta Unbound Academy pursuant to the Section 6-306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes. Items ID 37161.
Items ID 37161 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Okay, this is Items ID 37159, an ordinance by Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet, an ordinance to amend Chapter 74, Environment, Article 9, Litter Control, Section 74-605, Definitions of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, to provide a definition of the term yard trimmings, and to provide that yard trimming shall be included in the definition of term litter, so that it shall be a violation of the litter control ordinance to throw, dump, sweep, push, blow, deposit, or leave yard trimmings on private property or property open to the public for other purposes.
Items ID 37159 will be referred to the City Utilities Committee.
Elms ID number 371. Oh, no. So this one I am not going to read in because we are still working with law on a full-blown substitution to exact the scope of the task force. So I will read that in on the 21st, rather. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Shook.
Thank you. Elms 37160 is an ordinance by Shook authorizing a donation in a total amount not to exceed blank from the council president carry forward account to various nonprofit organizations to support park improvements pursuant to the charter section listed here and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37160 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Elms 37059 is an ordinance by Shook supplementing that certain ordinance listed here, adopted by the Atlanta City Council on the date listed and approved by the mayor on the date listed to, among other things, provide for 1, the sale during fiscal year 25 of up to $4,000,000 in aggregate principal amount of City of Atlanta general obligation bonds, Series 25 bonds, through a direct placement to a bank or other financial institution. 2, to authorize the execution and delivery of said 2025 bond. 3, to authorize the naming of a bond registrar and paying agent for those bonds. 4, to authorize the adoption of a form to which said series bonds shall adhere. 5, to authorize the preparation of a tax digest and a levy of a tax sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on those bonds. 6, to authorize the CFO to create the bond fund number. And 7, to amend the FY25 budget by adding to anticipations and appropriations Series 2025 bond proceeds and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37059 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
Elms 37156 is an ordinance by Shook, Overstreet, Norwood, Boone, Bakhtiari, Hillis, and Amos. This is an ordinance to amend the Charter of the City of Atlanta, adopted under and by the authority of the Home Rule Act indicated here, by amending the listed sections of the code in accordance with the recommendations of the City of Atlanta Temporary Task Force charged with reviewing the processes and procedures of the Office of the Inspector General, the Ethics Office, and the Governing Board of the Office of the Inspector General and Ethics Office regarding the authority, oversight, and the clarification of respective roles and responsibilities of the OIG and the Ethics Office, and to create separate governing boards for the OIG and the Ethics Offices and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37156 will be jointly referred to the Finance Exec and Committee on Council.
That is all.
Thank you. Councilor Juan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Elms ID 37153, a resolution by council members Juan, Westmoreland, and Bakhtiari, authorizing the City of Atlanta to donate an amount not to exceed $1,500.00 to the Kennesaw State University Foundation, Inc., pursuant to Section 6306 of the City of Atlanta Charter to provide support in the university's student architect and design competition for potential City of Atlanta LGBTQ+ community center, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a donation agreement which shall detail the design competition process and awards in recognition of 6 student team finalists, to authorize the chief financial officer or his designee to make the donation payments from the account listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37153 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
All right, 37162, an ordinance by Councilmember Alex Juan authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $1,500.00 from the District 6 carry forward account to the Piedmont Park Conservancy pursuant to Section 6306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37162 will be referred to the Finance Exec Committee.
And 37158, a resolution by Councilmember Alex Juan authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed blank from the District 6 Moving Atlanta Forward Discretionary Fund account to the Olmsted Linear Park Association pursuant to Section 6306 of the City of Atlanta Charter and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37158 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Westmoreland.
Thank you, Mr. President. Elms 37151, resolution by Westmoreland to amend 24 4311 for the purpose of amending the membership of the Infrastructure Sustainability Task Force to replace Mr. Eric Tenenblatt with Mr. Jim Durrett as a representative of the Buckhead Coalition and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37151 will be referred to the City Utilities Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Winston.
Thank you, Council President. Elms ID 37127, an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Winston to amend Part 3, Code of Ordinance Land Development Code Appendix B, Electrical Code Amendments, Chapter 1, Administration Section listed, electric vehicle charging infrastructure readiness requirement for new commercial construction, and section number 101.9, electric vehicle charging construction and infrastructure readiness requirement for new residential construction, to implement new regulatory requirements to improve and clarify process, to update references and definitions, and to make other drafting amendments and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37127 will be referred to the CDHS Committee. Thank you. I believe that is all papers for referral today. With that, we will move to general remarks from the body. Any general remarks? Councilman Ramos.
Yes, sir. Let's start off with just thanking everyone that came out to the 12 Days of Christmas Resource Edition that we had last year. All of District 3, Curve Violence, Love and Hip Hop crew, and then also all the merchants on ML King Ashton Street Merchant Association. Also sticking with my routine of work anniversaries, we have a whole list here. We have Mr. Brown with 18 years in the clerk's office, Mr. Tribby, 18 years, Ms. Luster, 2 years, Mr. Archer, 7 years, Mr. Taylor, 23 years, Mr. Holmes, 7 years, and then Mr. Miller, 2 years, and then, of course, Ms. Hammond Griffin, 32 years with the City of Atlanta. And last but not least, upon a personal privilege, at the last city council meeting, I had the opportunity to wish my oldest granddaughter happy birthday. Well, with this being the first council meeting of 2025, I get to bring in a new granddaughter born day after Christmas and welcome her into the City of Atlanta as well. So thank you.
Other announcements, Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Yes, Councilmember Amos with his birthday wishes reminded me of a very important one. I will not be in committee again before this person's birthday, but I do want to wish a happy birthday to my Chief of Staff, Mr. Nick Capon. So happy birthday, bud. You look great in your tie.
Other remarks? Councilmember Boone.
Yes, I would like to wish Claudia Nash, a member of Atlanta Fire and Rescue Department, a happy birthday. She is a dedicated and diligent servant. Miss Claudia Nash's birthday is this week. We love her. She serves the seniors and the young in Atlanta. Happy birthday, Miss Claudie Nash.
Thank you. Other general remarks before we have the closing call?
We love Claudie Nash. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Any others? With that, Madam Clerk, please call the closing roll. Oh, sorry. Oh, Councilmember Collins.
I just want to thank everyone for supporting me today. This was really great energy, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with you all. So thank you again.
Councilmember Westmoreland.
And I just want to let Councilmember Collins know this is the smoothest meeting we've ever had, and it'll never be like this again.
And with that, we will call the closing roll. Madam Clerk.
Are we ready? Council President Doug Shipman.
Present.
Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, Post 1 at Large. Councilmember Matt Westmoreland, Post 2 at Large. Councilmember Ishay Collins, Post 3 at Large. Councilmember Jason H. Winston, District 1. Councilmember Amir Faroki, District 2. Councilmember Byron D. Amos, District 3. Councilmember Jason Dozer, District 4. Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, District 5. Councilmember Alex Wan, District 6. Councilmember Howard Shook, District 7. Councilmember Mary Norwood. Councilmember Dustin Hillis, District 9. Councilmember Andrea L. Boone, District 10. Councilmember Marcia Kohler Overstreet, District 11. Councilmember Antonia Lewis, District 12.
Let's go, let's get it.
Without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.